Evening all, welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Episode, I don't know what we're on now, it's 7,947 million or something it feels like, but uh, happy boys in our Endless Celts studio. Another final. We've got through the semi on Saturday and another Glasgow Derby to look forward to. So I'm pleased to be joined by Francis. How are we, mate? How was your weekend?
Aye, all good, all good. Missed the first half of the football while I was out for dinner. I thought I was getting lucky because Lynn was no feeling up to it. Then suddenly she was all right, and saw all disaster. Panic stations try to work it around the football, but managed to get back for the second half, and it was all good. A nice chilled out the weekend.
You picked the right half to come back to anyway because wasn't up too much. But also joined by John. So happy to have him back regular again. How are we doing, mate? And how was your weekend?
Good, man. Weekend was good. Quiet. Just spent it with the woman, just chilling. But aye, sound. Good weekend.
Alistair Jack's always in the know. Look, even he kens what episode and I'm fucking on this.
Quick on the Google. He's quick on the Google.
It does also literally say it in the ticker.
I was waiting for it. I was watching for it coming along. The ticker the first
episode. Wait.
So how was your weekend,
what's that?
How was your weekend?
I was all right. Quiet. Just doing all the housework and all that. After a mad Christmas period where all I was doing was drinking and eating, I was actually quite glad just to chill out. Watch with the wife, although I didn't think she wants me in the house because I was fucking screaming, shouting at the telly. So, saying that, let's dive in because there's lots to talk about during this game. And first of all, as usual, Ange throws up a surprise. No wonder we can never get the starting 11 right because he's always throwing up surprises, and I think it's a massive surprise to most, Franny, that JJ started at right back. A surprise to yourself, and what did you think?
It was a massive surprise, especially going on Alistair Johnson's previous two games in that he performed well, but maybe it was a wee bit of, I wouldn't say tiredness coming in, but it's just don't want to kind of burn them out. It was obviously hadn't played a lot of football since the World Cup and things like that, so it's probably just the sports scientists have maybe said that he's sort of at the levels and things like that, but I think it was Ross that said it on Friday. He would be surprised if Juranovic starts, but he wouldn't be he wouldn't be surprised if he didn't if he had a good game, and I thought he played all right. The conditions weren't great. I think that was pivotal how the match kind of panned out, but it was a big surprise. Juranovic playing, but boy done all right, I think.
And what do you think? Do you think he's? I'm going to ask John the same question, but do you think this is like this has obviously been boiling over for a wee while. Do you think it is just because Alistair Johnson was carrying something or he's tired? Do you think that he's just putting him in the shop window, or do you think that all the rumours are just nonsense and there's nothing happening and he's your player and if we're going to play him, we're going to play him?
I suppose. Was that for you, John?
No yet. No yet.
There obviously is. He is your player, and I don't think Ange will really keep a guy on the bench just in case he gets injured in the game because there's a potential transfer and stuff like that. So I suppose there is he's your player, so if he's available to play and he's the best option, then he goes in. Just one of them. But I think there seems, I know you're no bigger in rumours, Wally, but there seems too much smoke without fire with Juranovic. It was in the summer. It's now in here. I maybe got a wee bit suckered in with the teams and things, but maybe that was an agent just pushing the teams and maybe try to push Celtic into a better deal. And maybe Celtic's called his bluff and Monza's the only team that's actually really interested. And I think if you're Juranovic, you're saying to your agent, what the hell's going on here? It seems to be Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, Man United, but it's Monza that seem to be touted for what's going on here.
Why would you want to leave for Monza?
Why would you want to go for there? Apart from Berlusconi probably paying decent wages, but apart from that, it seems a weird one. I think he will go before the end of the window. It seems the fact that we've signed Alistair Johnson as well, and maybe that'll be decreasing some of the offers because we know maybe teams are looking at going, they want rid of him. They've actually brought his replacement, and so they'll look at get rid of him. It's just, I do think he will go, but whilst he's here, I think he'll get played if he's fit. I think we've said it many times. Ange signs a character in it. I don't think he downed tools against Rangers. He had a shocker, absolute shocker, which everybody can have. And I've not, what I've seen of him since after World Cup, I can't say he's like really shot out any challenges. He just was terrible against Rangers, and I thought he was, what I seen, he wasn't shirking out any challenges at the weekend and stuff. He was getting stuck in. So I think his head's in the right place to play him. So I've no issues with playing him while he's still here and fit and available.
I agree. I think there was a massive improvement in him on Saturday night. Much better than what we've seen recently. I don't know if his head's been turned or whatever. We've obviously had plenty of podcasts talking about that. But John, much the same. It was a bit left field, him starting on Saturday night. I don't think anybody's seen it coming. What did you think about it yourself? And again, what do you think it's a put him in the shop window, or do you think it's just we've not got any fit right back, so he's having to play, or do you think it's just all these rumours are nonsense and he's our player and he'll continue to be?
Listen, you know how I feel about rumours and all that anyway, and I'm no one to generally start flatting when so and so's linked with so and so, unless like you've said as well, until it's concrete, until the club have released something. Then he's still a Celtic player, so you still expect him to feature, and he's far too good for him just to be sitting doing nothing. So I was originally shocked though, because like Francis touched on, Johnson's been superb his last couple of games. However, in saying that, when you remember, although it was a semi-final, it was still a cup game, and Ange's, it's not the first time he's rotated players in a cup game. So, I mean, I wasn't totally surprised. Like I said, he's still a quality player. You know how good he is. And listen, if he is on his way out, then it certainly does him no harm putting him in the shop window, and it helps us because. So I think somebody in the comments has said that. But if he's just sitting on the bench and he's not getting any game time, either people aren't interested or his value is just stagnant. Do you know what I mean? It has to be playing and putting in performances in order for you to demand a fee for him. So I expect that he'll feature. Again, I don't know the situation with Johnson, if it is an injury or if it was maybe just Anne saying, well, do you know what, we've got Juranovic here as a cup game, we'll get a wee bit of rotation in. But I was initially a wee bit surprised because I thought Johnson was going to be starting for the foreseeable, but that's what it is.
If the rumours are, you know me, I can't stand rumours. I don't believe a word until Ange or the club come out and say something. But if the rumours are true and there's this release clause and whatever else it is, what do you think about the release clause, John? What do you think about that figure for JJ?
It's weird, and I'm pretty sure I touched on this before. I just think the release clause, the figure doesn't make any sense to me, and it's not like Celtic to put a release clause on a player, especially one at that value, because I mean, you know, as a club, just the sort of your transfer business generally is, if we bring in a player, you're looking to make as much profit off him as possible. So by adding the release clause, it's limiting that. I can't see why Juranovic as well would sign a 5-year deal. It was a 5-year deal, a reported 5-year deal or something like that.
4 or 5 anyway, aye.
With a 7 million release clause on it, it just doesn't make any sense.
By the way, I'm with Taylor, that Ryan Taylor boy.
What did they say, sorry?
He wants 6 cans in GG.
Just want 6 cans in GG.
Aye. Aye, the release clause doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's a load of shite. Again, there's nothing concrete in it. That's just people mention it on Twitter and everything else. I don't know where it's come from. I think it's basically the story's broke, probably the fucking Daily Record. And they've said something like, oh, it's 7 million for such and such. And then they'll be like, well, it's awfully low. He's surely valued more than that. It must be a release clause. And that's kind of where it's kind of gathered, or it's snowballed, so to speak. So I don't believe it. And I've like I say, since then, I've seen reports saying that there's no sell-on fee. I think I saw another report that Atletico's interested at 14 million. It's just fucking, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Until he actually leaves and we see it announced by Celtic that he's left, and we see some sort of official or some sort of concrete or reputable source confirm his departure. I'm not going to be. It's actually a release clause with knowledgeable and activated. Aye, and you would expect Celtic, even if his initial signing was that, then they would try and improve his deal after his first year or whatever it is. Maybe to get rid of the release clause or whatever it is. But it just doesn't, from a business perspective, it just doesn't follow Celtic's model, and it doesn't make any sense.
I totally agree. I mean, he's all heard my views on it on Friday.
Spot on, Paul. That's a good rumour, that.
I mean, in the summer he was linked with however many clubs apparently, and if the release clause, if we had a release clause and it was that low, I'm pretty sure somebody would have activated it. So I just think yet again, absolute nonsense coming for Twitter. But I mean, listen, we'll find out in a couple of weeks because
it doesn't. Like I said before as well, it doesn't help when you've got. It's one thing when you hear it on Twitter, and it's another thing when one of these papers that constantly spew shite report on it. But it's what gives it weight is when Celtic websites and Celtic media are reporting on it, and they're citing it as they're referencing it and saying, "Oh, this is this." It's just clickbait to me, man. It's a lot of shite.
And like you say, I said on Friday, Big Ange always bangs on about how he wants players that are committed. You're never going to get better than this club. He can't be handing out contracts to players with release clauses in them. Because that's no showing commitment, surely, is it, Fanny?
No, it's definitely not at that value anyway. Maybe if you're saying like 12 to 15 million, that's showing a wee bit of commitment because you're then saying, well, we're only got to get that release clause if this guy performs well. If you put otherwise you're here for 3-4 years anyway, and then we might try and move you on when you're running your contract down. But I mean, I can understand to an extent the argument of a release clause because of the figure. It's plausible, but like John said, I think John said it last Monday, it's not within Celtic's sort of business model in the past. Not that I certainly know of. I've never really heard any players having release clauses, like even guys like Dembele and Edward and things like that. And even Tierney, you were really digging your heels in to get top dollar for these guys. And then even Chris to an extent where with 6 months left in his contract, and I think we've managed to get 3 to 4 million for him. So,
good point.
But what I would maybe say, could that have been like a thing with Dominic Mackay? He was putting, I mean, it was a new guy in. I'm assuming he would be something to do with contracts. Could he have been putting release clauses in? I don't know, but again, I would have liked to think
that's why they got shot him.
Potentially, but then
caught wind of this and was like, "Oh, no."
Has he started putting? Was he putting release clauses in? Because
you're just starting to sound like a Daily Record now.
I don't. Oh no, I'm just trying to. I'm kind of. I wouldn't say it's playing devil's advocate. Just trying to. See, could that have been a thing that he done? Because obviously he was trying to modernise the club and things. And release clauses are a modern sort of a thing within contracts. They're usually just at stupid values. To be fair, I mean, 7 million is a stupid value, but it's stupidly low. Low. I can understand the argument for release clause, but then you then look at another side going, teams in England for a backup right back, like Chelsea are desperate for a right back now. Till Reece James comes back, 7 million. They've spent about 100 million the January window, and so 7 million to them is absolutely peanuts.
This story, Bhoys. Cheers, Bhoys. If that story's true, then I'm fucking absolutely flabbergasted. I can't see that.
I know.
I had a bit of a debate with Stephen in the group chat today about it all. I'm not having it. I don't think me personally, I don't think he's gone anywhere. I don't understand why you would want to be leaving to go to a club like that. I just can't see it. I think he's far better. So, but and again, I'm like I said, I'm one that, and I know us as a podcast, we need to discuss these matters. I hate rumours. I hate when I'm not heard anything for the gaffer or the club about anything. I'll just not believe it until it comes to light. I'm not going to flap about it until then. And I thought Gigi looked as committed to the cause as ever on Saturday, but we'll go on to that later on because that's later on in the podcast. But we'll go on to the first goal, John. It was a bit scrappy. In fact, I think Kilmarnock kind of came out the traps quite well against us. I thought they looked decent the first 5-10 minutes or so. But we got the goal, and it couldn't have came any better. Massive slice of luck and a Kyle Lafferty assist.
Mate, I was hoping, like, I didn't want to, like, you didn't want to take anything away from my done that, but I was just praying that Lafferty got that credited as an own goal. Like, I was hoping it is, because all that talk and all that piss that he's been speaking prior to the game, let me play so I can score against them, and then that happens. Yeah, it's still laughable though. And it couldn't. You could almost, it's like one of the moments where it's like you couldn't write this kind of stuff. It had to be him, but it was a bit scrappy. The first half for me wasn't the best. I don't think we were particularly great. We created a few chances, but same old story. We weren't finishing them. Too much misplaced passes, too much fucking passing about the box. Like, and William, you've agreed with me as well. And start taking shots as soon as you see a gap and you've got some space. Like, test the keeper for range, because they're not expecting it all the time. And we've seen numerous players try it, and it's been a success. But see all this tippy tappy, and we're almost at the point now where it's so predictable the way we're going to do it, and teams can set up to defend against it. And I think that's largely in part why we're not scoring as many as we are, if that makes sense. It's just we do the same thing week in, week out, and it's like you're moving the ball about the front of the face of goal, you're going out wide, and the ball's coming in across the box. Sometimes a guy's there, sometimes there isn't. But teams can set up against that if they know that that's the way they're going to play. So you need to surprise them a bit. So I'm thinking, like, and I keep saying it, start just shooting on sight as soon as you see a gap, open up. If you're 20 yards out, 25 yards out, just take a pop, test the keeper, keep them on their toes. Then you let them think that, we're just going to go either wing and fizz it across the box again like we normally do. So, aye. It wasn't a great first half, but the goal came at the perfect time, like you said.
That's 1 city, 14,000 million. I think it's a fair point, mate. I think especially with the way the pitch was as well, a bit cut up and stuff like that. If you're skitting in the water, if like you're getting that strike that kind of skids
Hamden's a shithole, man.
We'll touch on that in a wee bit later as well. Brady, aye, like I said, first goal couldn't have been any better. I'd actually prefer that than a 40-yard rasper in the top bag. Kyle Lafferty, and I would imagine he wasn't doing star jumps at half time when he got hooked after that performance.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, he's probably should have been practicing clearing his lines instead of doing star jumps at the gaffer's office and that, and he might have managed to clear that better. But just like they say, karma's a bitch, and it was for him. Like it was in the round as scrappy a goal it was back to my head as scoring crap goals. But it was perfect. It was like kind of the perfect goal. How decent free kick from Boy. It was into a dangerous area, and Lafferty just makes an absolute twat at it, and Maeda's there to capitalise on it. You've got to give the guy credit. He's in a position there to get there and stuff, and make it, like, gets the deflection, gets it in. So it was a nice goal. It was a nice moment considering how the goal happened. But I kind of agree with John on the extent of maybe, especially and yourself, the conditions would have been perfect just to fizz shots for outside the box. The pitch was tuned up, so you might just get a dodgy bounce and whatever, or like you say, it skids off the ground. But it is a wee bit of frustration, though, shooting for outside. But it's also a clear tactic how we want to play the game, is get it down the lines, almost like FIFA goals. Get it down the lines, cross it, tap it in. It's a clear way we want to play. But I do think at times we need to shoot, because then it drags teams out. Then if you're thinking somebody's got to shoot for outside the box, it might open up space. But
I hear you. And is that a matter of, like Ange, how he talks about there's no need for a plan B because plan A is going to work, and if it doesn't work with that personnel, then we'll try
probably
different personnel.
Probably
aye. Well, see, just touching on that as well, you mentioned Moy there, and I'm trying to think. I think we've been pretty decent at scoring for set pieces this year, and I think Moy's been a big reason for that. A lot of people in the chat saying he was class again. What did you think of his performance, John, just before we move on to other things? And do you think that's a fair point about like us having set pieces, and do you think he's a major factor in that? Or
I think he's been great this season, and his passing's been exactly what we've needed, because he's finding passes other guys haven't been, and he's managing he's finding runs of players as well, and he's one of the things I've never liked, and I appreciate obviously and understand, like you mentioned, Ange has a certain way of playing, but we've seen even Ange scream at it, like passing it back all the time. I see we still do that too often for me, but Moy seems much more direct, and he wants to get the ball forward, and he's looking for these passes, he's looking for the runs of other players, and it's been a success for him. And like you say, when it comes to set pieces and that as well, it's good having a guy who can find a man, and he's able to do stuff like that, because it's benefit he does, and it's something we've missed. I still don't think we've got a dead ball specialist. I don't think anybody at the club is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that we're lacking. And I would like to see us bring in somebody. For all we know, this Iwata might be the guy, but I don't know, man. It's the set pieces with Moy and that on the end of them, to answer your question, is benefited us, but I still think we could do with having somebody better. Do you know what I mean? Like it's good, but it's no. I still want more.
I thought Bernabe might have been that boy when he came in. Everybody said he had a bit of wonder left foot, and he was kind of set piece taker. So I'm surprised not to see him anymore. But I think Moy. Do you agree with that point, Franny? That set pieces, especially, and I see as we're talking about him as well. I think that Ross made a brilliant point on Friday night. I was talking about how O'Reilly's been getting stick, but he's still playing as well, and he's always getting the assist of the assister, if that makes sense. I think he's brilliant at that pass in between the fullback and the centre half, where he's finding the winger in behind. And I think Ross made a great point where Moy likes to do that clipped ball over, and I think it's a great weapon for us to have. But what did you think about Moy's performance? What do you think about the whole set piece analogy that we've got going about him? And do you think it's been it's helped us? Because I think we have scored a lot more set piece goals this year.
That's helped us, and it's funny because O'Reilly seemed to be the guy taking them all sort of last season, this season. I think he was doing all right enough with them. I think our sort of scoring for set pieces maybe went up, and you've also got to credit guys like Ralston, Carter Vickers, and Starfelt, guys that are actually willing to attack the ball in the box as well. You could put all the best balls in the world, but if you've got guys not really willing to attack it properly, it's not ideal. And I suppose Giakoumakis would come into that as well.
Yeah,
but Moy's delivery is a lot better. A lot better than what we've had. Like I think O'Reilly's for set places is good. It's okay, but Moyes is certainly better. He seems to get that sort of a dip in it. I'm surprised Jota doesn't take more set pieces, like more crosses, because maybe I was just not picking up, because like when he crosses it in, he can seem to get a good whip and dip on it, but it's just maybe one in. But Moyes I think he's been really good. He surprised me when he came in. I say I wasn't disappointed we signed him. I totally understood why we did. Because funny enough, I think it was me and you that was on the day he signed on the next podcast, and it was really about the time where we went with the PSG boy or something as well, the young lad. And
oh, that's right.
I can remember. Because it was me, you, and Ross, and I totally understood you wanting the young boy. I get that you were buying potential, but understood as signing Moy. Like I was totally underwhelmed. I said that I was absolutely underwhelmed by the signing of Moy, but you can just see now after the World Cup, he's obviously came. I wouldn't say at his age he doesn't need to have a good World Cup to have confidence. I think the guy's got confidence, but he's carried his World Cup form into Celtic since his return and stuff. Similar to Maeda, although I think it's a confidence thing with Maeda. He's came back for the World Cup absolutely flying after having a good one. But Moy, he does do that clip pass over the top really good, and like you say, O'Reilly does the one on the deck. It's essentially the same way playing, but two different ways of doing it and stuff. So which essentially you need. It's just different ways of playing the system, I suppose. And I do think I kind of agreed with what you were saying about O'Reilly on Friday about how we do get bogged down with numbers and stuff and stats, and they can be interpreted and used to suit how you want to sort of portray them and stuff like that. But I think O'Reilly he needs a couple. Had a couple more goals, a couple more assists. Folk when they be saying he's playing shite. I think some folk watch the game by stats too much instead of watching it with their eyes.
Agreed. I totally agree with you, mate. So, first goal, bit about Moy there. I'm actually Moy kinds to be. We were talking about how Kyogo's Ange's favourite. I think Moy's getting in there as well. It seems to be like he's one of the mainstays in that midfield three now, and he's picking and choosing players around him. But it'll be interesting to see going forward if he's going to be staying as one of the first names on the team sheet, I should say. But moving on, during the game, some more. I put VAR controversy, but I'm not so sure if it is VAR that we should be talking about being controversial rather than Scottish referees. So we'll touch on the first goal, which was Hatate being offside. I'll be interested to see. It was actually really interesting to me because in the group chat we were kind of having a lot of debate and there was a lot of disagreement, and we talk about how it's down to interpretation, and it made me realise, and I was like, maybe, you know what, maybe we're a bit harsh sometimes. And then I thought, nah, maybe we're just all fucking idiots as well. So Hatate's goal, first of all, Franny, what did you think? Did you think it was the right decision that it was chalked off? And if so, why?
I did at the time, Wally, because he's about 3 yards offside. But then you made a comment about Giakoumakis watching that about 14 times. I've watched it countless times after it, and I've totally went the opposite way. It's how that's not been given. I didn't get. I appreciate, he's standing offside and he then scores, but I can't remember, was it? I can't remember who taken the shot. If it was Juranovic or no, who actually taken the shot, or
I think it was.
And like the shot's not even going towards Hatate; it's going the opposite way, and then it deflects the total polar opposite way. So how that can be given as offside, I really didn't ken. Like, I know at the time I was kind of adamant that it should have been, but I'd only really seen what it showed you in the telly. And at the time, it was obviously, I was of the mindset it was offside, and I think I was maybe a wee bit blinkered by that, just stubborn sticking to it. But then watching it back a few times when you kind of take the emotion out of it, I was like, nah, it should be a goal. And then if it's not a goal, how's it not a handball?
Aye,
that's for me. If it's not a goal, it's a handball.
That's the second thing. Aye, John, what did you think about the decision?
Listen, Strange Love is exactly my thoughts. Exactly, it's one or the other. For me, but like you say, because he might have been standing in an offside position initially when the shot was taken, but I think when it comes back to him, he's onside. He's in an onside position, and he scores for it. It's a goal, surely. That's my understanding. And you made a valid point there about it all comes down to interpretation. But I touched on this last week as well. It's like the fact that there's even a grey area and there's no, like, it should be black and white. It is or it isn't. There shouldn't be a. But
I think that's the problem. Like the rule now, I don't even know what the fucking rule is anymore because
is the thing. You thought you did exactly. It's your first instincts, and you've lived all your life thinking this is the offside rule, and then VAR comes in, and then it's like, hold on.
My first reaction was, say for example, he's standing and he's covering the keeper's eyesight, so he's affecting the play, or he's in a position that's made that defender react and move into the position for that then to happen, but he's not affecting play for me. He's nowhere near it. And it comes off the Kelly defender. So for me, in a way, it's kind of like the Kelly defender's turned to take a pass back to the keeper and he's nipped in. That's my understanding of the offside rule. But then you see at the weekend, Rashford's a mile offside.
Oh, that's a mile offside.
Affecting all the play, making defenders and keepers move all sorts. And Fernandes comes in and scores. So what the fuck is the offside rule?
Mate, that is absolutely baffling. And every single week, this arises. And without fail, we're going to be discussing VAR between now and the end of the season. Every single game, there's going to be an incident where we're like, hold on, was it or was it? No. Do you know what I mean? And just going back to the whole interpretation thing, what they need to do is they all need to just sit down together and then just say, this is offside, this isn't, and that's it. So there's no grey area, there's no interpretation, there's no subjective, like, what's that? Like Bhoys just said,
subjective season is in full.
Aye, you need to just erase that doubt, and it just needs to be clear, black, white, it is or it isn't. None of this. Some people might say it is, some people might say it isn't, some refs might see it as, some refs might see it isn't, because that benefits absolutely nobody, and it just makes the game look absolutely amateurish.
Sometimes even, see when you get like, you're sitting watching Match of the Day or whatever, and there's an incident like that, and then Gary Lineker will sit down and he'll go, well, this is the law, and he'll read out the 3-line spiel about, and even then, it's no informative enough. You could even the spiel that's written out from UEFA or FA or whoever it is, the governing body, it's still subjective. You could read it one way and I could read it another way. I just like some of the decisions we've seen.
Who's the head of the referee? It's Kalina, right? Like
he's Kalina now. Aye,
Kalina just needs to sit down with it and just release a fucking video like this. We'll get him on the podcast and just ask him outright what is define this rule, and then just have him describe it clear as day, and then that's it.
Do you feel for the referees in that sense, Franny? As we're all sitting discussing it, and we've both got, I know, John, that's why I've not asked you. We've all got different subjective views. And so that referee's made that decision on Saturday, right? And as far as I can see on our group chat, on social media, on Twitter or whatnot, half the people believe he was right, half of them believe he was wrong. Who's right? Nobody knows. Do you feel for him in that sense?
I suppose you could. But like, for me, I do agree that with boys that they are pushing the whole subjective and everything. Fouls can be subjective. Like a foul, I appreciate can be subjective, whether it's a yellow or you deem it a red, unless it's obviously violent conduct. It's obviously a different argument. But offside shouldn't be subjective. Offside's black and white at the end of the day. You're either offside or you're onside. It's that offside can't be subjective for me. Same with the ball being over the line, it's black and white. So I don't feel sorry for the referees in those decisions, because they should know what is offside, what is not offside. And then, but a foul, whether it's obviously they don't go to VAR for a yellow card and things like that, but where it could be a red card that's not necessarily violent conduct, it could be subjective. You just go to, sometimes you can hear ref that will let a few things go and things like that. So there is certain things that can be subjective, but I certainly don't feel sorry for them. They're in a well-paid job, and they're semi-professional to be in a well-paid job. I think the bigger issue is we need professional referees. We'll struggle to get that in Scotland because some of these guys are like lawyers and stuff. They're absolutely making a killing, and you're not going to get about £3-4 a week to be a referee in Scotland, which some of these guys are getting. I think it's £1,200 a game. They have a poor refereeing game, they'll get £1,200 next week because they're getting a Premiership game again. So there's no accountability. I think that's one of the big problems, but it's one of them. We either make them professional and train them up, and we will still have the same shit referees for a wee while, because we'll need to obviously get more referees, but maybe long term you'll actually get better decisions because there'll be accountability. They'll go down to a championship that then means earning less and less money. So I think it's trying to get them professional is where it'll cut them some slack. But I just think that the refereeing standard is really poor, and having VAR is totally shown that.
John, seeing that in the comments, I brought most of them up. There's still disagreement. Still people saying it should be offside. It was offside, the correct decision. There's still people saying they didn't think it was offside. So is it down to the governing body then to come out and, like you said, make it black and white? Because even us, everybody slates the referees, but us as fans, we're obviously no experts in that sense either. But the whole chat, everything I've seen on social media, there's disagreement right down the line for it all. So, like, is it as easy as just getting the governing body to come out and say, right, this is it, black and white, it's offside, it's no offside? Or
I think there has to be a clear revision of the rules, and they have to just sort of raise any sort of doubt in any grey areas, and it has to be black and white. Like I've said, they have to just sort of outline the rules. Like, for me, my understanding was Hatate was offside when the shot was taken, but when it came off the other player and came back out to him, that's a different phase of play. So it's you don't count it in the same sort of phase. Does that make sense? Or at least that was my understanding. Mm-hmm. And because he wasn't in an offside position when that initial phase, because he wasn't involved in that move, when it came off the other player and it fell to him and he scores, that's a new phase of play. He's not interfered with anything. He just so happened to be in the right position at the time. And like you said, even if that is offside, and this is another thing that annoys me with VAR, there's a potential for multiple decisions, right? Like, there could be a potential handball or an offside check. VAR only checks one of them. Like, there's never, like, see when they were checking that goal for offside, they should have been like, right, if they decided that as offside, they should have then been like checking it for other incidents as well. Mm-hmm. Not just focusing on one thing. It's just like the red card offence or violent conduct. Something could happen in the box, but if there's another event that happens, maybe off the ball, they'll review the potential violent conduct and just forget about the other thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, they should just analyse the entire thing as a whole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because that annoys me as well. And
especially it's essentially the same incident, really, isn't it? The Hatate
and like
one.
the Hatate one, it's like, right, so you're looking at that, and if you're deciding, right, that's offside, and you're counting the initial phase where he was offside position originally, then fine, right? Explain that. but then say, but there is a handball incident, so we're bringing it back and it's going to be a penalty. Didn't he just sit and go, aye, well, there is a handball, but this came first.
I'm only checking for that.
Aye, because he took the shot, so that was the first initial phase. We're going after that. Anything that happened after that is null and void. That's a lot of shite to me.
I think they use it in England. How you're talking, though, John.
I know. I think I was just about to say that. I think they've seen that where it's been like they have looked at one incident and then all of a sudden the commentators are like, "Wait a minute, it might be a handball here or whatever." But I agreed. But in my opinion, I thought it was like if he takes a shot and the keeper parries it out and Hatate scores, for example, and he's in an offside position, I think it's affecting play. My whole thinking behind it is Hatate affecting play? Is that defender in that position because Hatate was offside? Is he blocking the keeper's view, or the keeper's reacting to him in a certain way because of the position he's in? And I'd think no, I don't think he's affecting play. So, just for me personally, I understand, and I totally take on board everybody else's opinion and what they're saying because I understand it. But just for me, it wasn't offside for that reason. But like you have said, brilliant point. Even if he is offside, it's a handball. If O'Reilly's handball at Real Madrid is a handball, that's a handball. If Bernabé's against Dundee United is a handball, that's an absolute stonewall handball. So why wasn't it looked at? VAR keeps getting absolute dogs abuse. It's no VAR. It's the guys behind it, and that's the problem. But
it really is.
I mean, we've had plenty of debate before about it, and we're going to have plenty of debate going forward.
I think that one of the biggest things that VAR can do is see the guys in the VAR room and the referee. That the audio between they two should be televised. We should be able to hear what they're saying and an explanation as to why. Because when the guys at VAR are reviewing a decision and they're saying, "All right, he's saying offside," and he's telling whoever the referee is, like whoever I don't know who was in the VAR room, but whoever was telling Colin. It's offside. Hatate was in offside position during this, and this. At least you're getting an explanation, and you can go, that's where they're coming from. Like you can see why. But the fact that a decision is made, you get zero explanation. The Colin just turns around and says, "Nah, let's go," and you're like, "Hold on, why?" He's an explanation.
Aye. No, it's fair point, mate. Fair point. Let's go off the VAR controversy and go on to another VAR controversy, or maybe not so. Maybe not so. Kyogo's offside. Franny, was this one? Because I'm seeing that, like it's easy enough when they start drawing lines and you go, "Oh well, no, he is offside." But then you start seeing things on social media where it's like, "No, that's no a straight line," and all that fucking nonsense. What did you think about it?
I've got to give them the benefit of doubt in this one, say that it's the correct decision. Like say offside should be black and white. Just conveniently, the camera and lines were working as they should have been at this game. So I'll give them the benefit of doubt and say that was off. It was offside, as close as it was. I appreciate folk will maybe come up with saying, "I bet was the camera. Was that the exact time the ball was released?" We're never really got to know. I don't think the cameras they've got even in England can do that. Like John will probably ken better what I'm trying to say, but how it gets. I'm not going to try and explain it. I think it was offside. And but it's denied my head an absolute fantastic goal, man. What a finish that was.
I know that's the worst thing about it because it was a lovely passage of play and a brilliant finish. John, what did you think of the decision? Quite happy with that one? Well, not happy, but
well, this is the thing. We saw the images and you could see that it was the lines showed you it was a ball hair, like there was a ball hair in it. But you at least you seen the images and you can't argue with that. It's like you're right, okay. But at least they've produced something and they've said it's offside and this is the reason why. His foot is, I mean, it was tight, but that's what VAR's for, isn't it? Like that's why initially it was introduced for reasons like that. It still doesn't excuse them though.
Aye, it's fair enough.
They've got one decision right, and how many months?
See when it's something like that as well. See, just to kind of go off on a Billy Connolly tangent here and just kind of move off the subject. I watched the other semi-final, and for a period of time there, VAR was announced that it was not in use. There was some technical issue, and they'll not be using it for the rest of the game. and then 20 minutes later there was an announcement, oh, it's all working again, so we're going to use it. See, when it's something like that, and I know that's the rule they've came in and implemented. I know it's a fucking shambles. Only in Scottish football would you see that happening. When it's implemented like that, see when it's something so minuscule as Kyogo's offside, what if there was a similar situation in that game? What if that cost us that semi-final, right? And then in that game on Sunday, when VAR wasn't in use and there was a similar situation and it's helped a team, but because there's no VAR, it's how is that a level playing field, John?
It's no. And that camera for Fir Park would probably have still been working. So they still caught it. It's just, like you said, it's laughable. It's an absolute farce. It's a joke. And it doesn't help. They really don't do themselves any favours, because you've got week in, week out, and it's not just our fan base, by the way. Fans for clubs across Scotland are saying the same thing. It's like, it's no fit for purpose at the minute. They're constantly getting stuff wrong. Referees are making incorrect decisions. And then you've got stuff like that. Well, we've been victim of certain things not working when we played Motherwell, and they used the camera for the opposite end of the fucking park to call an offside. I don't know how that works, but apparently it does. And then they're just announcing, and especially when you're talking about a extra time in a League Cup semi-final, they're like, oh, by the way, we've no VAR all of a sudden. Like, even if that,
believe it,
listen, and
game.
I know stuff happens, and you can get stuff that happens, and technology doesn't work 100% all the time. Stuff can go down, there can be issues, but it doesn't help its cause. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's already seen as an absolute joke as it is, and then something like that happens, and you can't help but just fucking hide your head in your hands and just be like,
I know.
Honestly, it's an absolute joke, and it's embarrassing. Like, it's genuinely embarrassing. It was fuck all to do with us, and it wasn't even a game. Like, do you know what? But you're still hearing about it, and you're like, really?
I know.
It's sad, man.
Monty's obviously got control issues. He's not happy with the topics I've picked for tonight, because he's posted this literally about 1,400 times and want us to discuss it. So just quickly, Franny, would you take Kevin Nisbet?
Nah.
Nope.
John, would you take Kevin Nisbet?
Absolutely not.
Agreed.
And if something comes out and it's announced that we're officially approaching for Kevin Nisbet and all the rest of it, I will be extremely pissed off, because we should be.
Stephen will be having him. SBL watching that.
Aye.
Stephen will be having him.
We should be setting our sights higher. Like, Nisbet's good for where he is, but he's no.
Shacklin's good for Hearts.
Aye.
I just think
that's their sort of, like, I think, and no disrespect to these guys and their teams, but that's his level. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to line up Nisbet against your Barcelona's, Madrid's, Milan. Come on. Enough. Monty, enough.
I think it's more than 3 years, Monty, if you look at it. I just don't understand how a guy that was a bang average player in their league, he's injured for how long? He comes back and he has a wee purple patch of 2 or 3 games, and all of a sudden he's the best thing since sliced bread. For me, he's nowhere near what we should be looking at for us.
Why would you be getting rid? A few years ago,
why would you be getting rid of why would you be getting rid of a player the caliber of GG to bring in somebody like Nisbet? No way. No.
It probably costed GG money as well. Like,
and I totally disagree. I totally disagree with that as well, Monty. I think we're in a position where we're fantastic domestically, and this window shouldn't be about. I think we've got a squad good enough to win all 3 trophies at this moment in time. I think this window and the summer window should be about building for Europe next season. So I disagree with that day. Aye. So VAR controversy. John, was it a pen? Kilmarnock, GG, dying moments of the game. Kind of no hanging on, but they were coming at us, throwing everything at us. So. What do you think? Penalty or no penalty? In my best, no Edmonds.
No
penalty or no penalty?
No penalty.
And reason why?
Just because I'm sick.
Okay,
I think we're just leaving it just because. No, I think it's a penalty. It's clumsy, absolute clumsy for Giakoumakis. I mean, I think the Kilmarnock player's kind of intelligent. He's as if I don't know if he is falling. He doesn't take much of a touch. I think he's looking. He knows that he's probably got to get clattered if he gets a touch on it. But I'm thinking penalty for Kilmarnock, mate. I think it was a penalty.
Aye, there's a fair bit of clamour in the comments as well. For me,
Listen,
at first,
see when you've got 101 decisions against you,
aye,
then you get away with one like that. I'm taking
Aye,
it.
but
I'm happy
doesn't
it didn't
mean
get
it's
gave,
not a
but
penalty.
I'd have been screaming it for the other end.
See, be fair,
Aye.
see at first,
No
see at
comment,
first
no
watching
comment.
watching the game live. I thought that's just two players coming together. It's not a penalty. And then I watched the replay about 14 times, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's a Stonewall penalty for me." He's the guy. The guy doesn't fall as GG touches him. He takes another couple of steps, and it looks like he's trying to keep his balance, and then goes down. But again, there's everybody's saying there's people saying it was a penalty, people saying it's not a penalty.
It was. I would, like you said, if it was the other end, I'd be screaming for it. And if I'm being entirely honest, and we go away with one. But I mean, that's karma, eh?
This is by the way, see the comments and here. This was our Endless Celts group chat at the weekend. There's never a penalty. He's went down too easy, and then people were saying it's a Stonewall penalty and all the rest of it. But I mean, that's football.
The thing was though, if it happened at the other end, we would be screaming for a penalty, but we still wouldn't have got it either way. So,
see, I think as well, what's helped me say it's a penalty is we got the result. I think if they scored got that penalty, maybe got beat, I reckon I'd have been saying it. I'd have still been saying it wasn't a penalty. It's easier to say it's a penalty on the back of 2-1.
If it's at the other end, like you said, you'd be absolutely.
I'd be screaming for it.
It's a penalty all day for me. Anyway, move on again. Just look at a couple of the. Wanted to touch on a couple of performances and a couple of players that I've got a wee bit of stick this year. Not so much recently, but Franny Dyson Maeda. Before he went to the World Cup, it was he shouldn't be anywhere near the first team for a majority. Well, maybe no majority of fans, but a contingent of our fans were saying that he shouldn't be playing. There's better at the club, but I mean, since he's came back for the World Cup, he's absolutely hit the ground running, and this was one of his best performances since then.
Boys, in fact, like you said, before the World Cup, he wasn't playing great. There is better at the club than him, but again, it goes back to that watching football with your eyes a bit and seeing that what the team needs sometimes, and Maeda's perfect for how Postecoglou wants to play and stuff. We'll rant and rave about how good his football, how good the football is, the style. Maeda was, as we're led to believe, was one of the first guys he wanted to sign, but circumstances, I don't know why, couldn't get him in until the January. So the guy's clearly a player. We've seen what he done at the World Cup. He played well. Eyes technically maybe not. Well, he's obviously a good technical player, but maybe he's not the most pleasing on the eyes. Touch can be a little bit to be desired at times. It's sometimes not great, but the guy's he's lightning quick and he knows how to use it. Like I wouldn't say Agat had a brilliant touch, but Agat was a good player. He knew how to beat a guy. He knew to use, like, wasn't skillful, but knew. Done that whole thing at primary school. Just knock it 10 yards and you can, you'll beat the guy for pace. It's kind of basic, but you just can, you've got to beat a guy. Got to beat a guy in that. And so I think after the World Cup, he obviously had a good World Cup. I think he's a confidence player. So he's came back for a good World Cup, and he's just seems to like this period in the season. Obviously, when he came in, he was flying at this
that's
time
right.
as well. So I think the guy's just been absolutely pivotal since the World Cup, and just because we have sort of had, I mean, when they say different performance, but sticky games, but he's been one that's really been a driving force. Like even the Rangers game, we had Tavernier and Toast for the first 20-25 minutes, and then he's kind of started games pretty quick and stuff. So he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet now. Well, he's fit. I think he's been absolutely flying since the restart. Agreed,
mate. John, just yourself as well, kind of touch on his performance. I think he was man of the match officially, and I think most would agree. But Franny's kind of touched on his pace and his work rate there. But for me as well, I think something that's kind of underappreciated is, I think other than that Hibs screamer, for me, I can't think of another goal where he's no scored, but it's been he just finds himself in the right place at the right time, and he's bundling a goal in for 2 yards out. It's a good knack to have.
No, absolutely, and like I said earlier, when you're fizzing balls across the box, it's like sometimes you've not got a guy there, but Maeda tends to find himself in the positions more often than not. And that it certainly, like you say, his work rate though and his pace is second to none, and I'm sure that's one of the main reasons Ange signed him. And I just touched on it before. His engine is different, and we saw it towards the end of last season when he did come in. Even though he was off the back of a full season in Japan, he was still running constantly, and you were thinking to you, it's like, how is he no absolutely shattered? And then sort of the start of this season, he was a wee bit off the pace, but then since the World Cup, Kevin Nisbet would have been there. Aye. Anyway, moving on. No, but listen, I think Dyson's been fantastic, and he did have a patch at the start of the season where he wasn't kind of firing, but his work rate was still commendable. You could still see he was chasing every ball. He was thinking maybe his first touch isn't great, maybe his second touch isn't great all the time, but he's getting the job done and he's doing what he needs to do in order. And listen, even if he doesn't score goals and he doesn't get in the end of every ball and his touches are a wee bit skew with every now and again, his work rate and the pressure he puts on players, especially in the final third where we tend to spend most of our time, even if we lose possession, he's right on top of them again and he's snapping at their heels and he never lets them go. And Kyogo's is another one. He does the exact same, the defending for the front, so to speak. And I think he's fantastic at that. And that kind of pressure and the way he presses people is again, it's invaluable.
I think he never hides for a game, regardless of how he's playing. I don't think Maeda ever hides for a game. It doesn't matter. Exactly. And listen, it's unfortunate as well because it's like, well, it's not unfortunate, isn't it? Because it's an ideal position to be in, and I'm sure Ange would much rather be in this position. I'm sure we as fans would much rather be in this position than no. And that it's like, it's forcing, because Maeda's one of the first names on the team sheet at the minute and he is flying, it's like you're no getting to start a Jota every week. You're no starting an Abada every week. And somebody else is missing out. And it's unfortunate for them because, again, Abada's another player who can come in and he's not the finished article by any means, but he gets himself into positions. He's scoring goals. He's busy all the time. He seems hungry. He wants to get involved. He doesn't hide. And it's a shame for some other guys, but that's part of the rotation. And I think any player, and this is what sort of, I don't want to go back to the whole transfer saga with JJ and Giakoumakis, but when these guys were brought in, I'm sure it was outlined to them that there was competition for places. They weren't going to be playing every single game. They'll get their chances and they need to take them. And they've came here on that agreement. I'm sure that was outlined to them for the word go. So we've got guys who can play, and it's not just one position you're fighting for now. You've got 3 or 4 guys who are capable of stepping in there and playing that position. So if you're no on the ball, so to speak, then you're potentially losing out. And if you lose out, you need to work to get yourself back in. And Dyson's obviously clearly doing that.
Agreed. Aye, couldn't agree more with you, mate. Another just performance I just wanted to touch on. I know we've touched on Moy and Maeda. Hatate was an absolute superstar again, but I wax lyrical about him every game. I just wanted to touch quickly on Joe Hart, Franny. He's been getting a bit of stick this year as well, but I thought he come up with a couple of 2 or 3 massive saves for us in the game. What did you think of his performance? And do you think that's somewhere we should be looking to delve into the transfer market either now or at the end of the season? Or what do you think about Joe Hart? Because I know there's a lot of, on our podcast especially, a lot of comments saying that he's not good enough and that's somebody that we would be looking to replace. What's your thoughts on it?
I was really pleased with his performance. I was kind of surprised he was in. I thought he'd maybe stick with Seagrass. He's played the other games and stuff, so I thought. But then I can't remember the fact that Seagrass was on the bench or no. I don't actually think he was, so I might be. I think Bain might have been. I
can't remember, but I think on Friday, I think Stephen said that he was ill or something, or he was injured or
so
something.
Maybe that's why.
I can't actually mind seeing him if he was on the bench or not.
Maybe he was going to play. I think he might have been on the. It was Bain that was on the bench, but I'm not too concerned about looking for a new keeper. Like everybody, you guys touched it in Friday as well. It's everybody. There's always better out there. One of the things is getting them in as well. Like anytime you're going for a player, it should, in an ideal scenario, it should be to take the place for the guy that's already there. So, say you were looking for a new keeper, it should be to take Joe Hart's place. But right now, I'm not concerned that he has had a couple of sticky moments. I don't think it's it's any shock that it was happening when we were sort of changing the defence a wee bit around when Starfelt was out injured. So now that Starfelt's back and things, you actually see Joe Hart, he's not really got much saves to make, but when he does, he's coming up trumps. And I think he actually said that in his post-match interviews, like, the guys in front of me, that they didn't give me much work to do, but when I've got to come up and do it, and he generally does it. I wouldn't, again, in the summer, I would assess Joe Hart and see how he feels to see. I don't know if it was a 2 or 3 year deal he's got. I don't know how long it is. But right now, I'm not concerned. And if we came this summer, if we were looking for another deal, if we maybe only signed for the 2, or maybe just said to him, if he's only got the year left, go, look, where's your head at? Do you want to stay? Do you think you've got? I think he'll say he has. He seems a very, very proud guy, very professional guy. So I've no real concerns about the goalkeeping situation. And I think, again, I've said that before with goalkeepers. The problem is folk remember the bad moments and know the good moments with keepers. And keepers are guilt. They're unfortunate that a lot of their bad moments result in a goal against them. So it's a double-edged sword kind of thing.
Agreed. What did you think of Hart's performance, John, on Saturday? He kept us in the game at some points.
Aye, and listen, I rate Hart. I don't want to hear any talk about him being a shite keeper, because he's clearly no, and he's very experienced. And I think even if you're no starting him, having him around the club for the foreseeable would be a good move. Like, even offering him a position as a coach or something, because like that kind of experience is invaluable, and it'll help the young guys at the club, and Siegrist as well. Do I think there's better than Siegrist out there? Aye, obviously. Is MD signed Livakovic yet? Is he still?
It's a Croatian boy again.
Aye.
I'm not sure, John. I never kid.
But listen, if you can get a keeper of that calibre in, and there's available to you within your price range, then you'd be silly not to look at it. But as it stands at the minute, Hart's still a good player to have round about the club. He's still capable of pulling out fantastic performances, because we've seen him do it. And you've still got the likes of Siegrist and the boy, that Oluwemi, who's coming up, who's getting rave reviews as well. He, by all accounts, he's getting touted as the next big thing as well. So I think when the goalkeeper in front, we're all right. I don't think it's a priority position by any means. And if you're not going to, if like you said, a couple of guys have says, what's that? Same pot. There's a couple of guys.
Big money to get him for Newcastle.
Aye, there's a couple of guys. Eddie Howe's one. Maybe he'll give a deal. There's a couple. There's a couple of guys who you've got to the club who I'd be confident with Siegrist starting. I think Siegrist is a decent keeper. I don't think he's the best, but I think he'd be for SPFL level in that anyway. I think he'll do a job for us, especially when you consider that few and far between teams are actually attacking us in terms of their chances on goal. This is what I don't get about Hart. Like, how can you say Hart's been poor, or you can point the finger at Hart when you look at it and it's like the teams we're playing against have had 3 shots on target? Do you know what I mean? You're basing somebody's entire performance over a 90-minute spell on 3 moments. Do you know what I mean?
Cheers, Alistair.
Cheers, mate. And that's consistent throughout the course of the season. Like I say, I rate Hart. I'll say that, and like I say, I think he's good enough to have round about the club, especially for his experience in a coaching sort of aspect as well. I think he would be useful, because, as I say, having them round about the guys would definitely help.
See you later, money, mate.
I mean, you've still got another 15 minutes before the intro finishes, but that's fine.
I know he sees his away, but I don't know if Hibs will hear fax machine. It's no fucking 1985, so. But why? Anyway, let's go on. We're still going on about this game, and GG came on and does what he does best. How did you rate his performance? I think that the other night when he came on in the league, he looked like a different player to what he has been recently, and I think he was fighting for a shirt in that game, and he got his goal in the end, and the celebrations were magic. First of all, what did you think of his performance? And second of all, was that a farewell, or was that a celebration to say I'm not going anywhere? Did that look like a man that wants away? That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I was really pleased with performance and stuff. But like I said, the game previous to that as well, we got 30 minutes, and I thought it was Brown like hit the post, hit the bar and things. And he wasn't. I think previous games where he was getting 10 minutes, 12 minutes, he was trying too hard. I think to sort of to prove a point or whatever, to get in the score sheet. Where I think when he's got the 30 minutes, he's more of a team player. I would say he is linking the play up better than I was. Typical GG. I'm still waiting on Ross texting one touch. I'm surprised he didn't do it. He's slacking. But I think he would have been going mental at Tumble if didn't square it to him. Like, I understand Tumble taking the shot, but it was the square ball was on all day long. But in fairness to Tumble, he does the right thing where he plays it across the goalkeeper and the keeper parries it, and GG's there like all good strikers and taps it in. And I think it, reluctantly, I think it was a farewell goal. I'm not saying it was a celebration of a guy that doesn't want to be here. I genuinely think if you said to Giakoumakis, like, he obviously is 28, probably wants to be the main man. You touched it on Friday. Kyogo was clearly, I think, Angie's favourite. I would start Giakoumakis for Kyogo every day of the week, even though the way we play, everything, the way we set up, it's made for Kyogo. Our system's suited better for Kyogo. I love the way Giakoumakis plays. I think I would start him before Kyogo every day of the week, but it's one of the ones. I don't think there's a wrong answer. If you say Kyogo, it's you're well versed. It's got to be right. Giakoumakis is right. It's one of them. It's just your preference. But I think if Giakoumakis was going to get ample chances, I know a lot of it was due to injury last season, but if he was going to start more games, because like last season it was when both were fit, it was one was getting 60 minutes and the other was coming on. I think whereas I don't think he's really got that this season. I think if he kind of offered them that for the rest of the season and said, like, look, in the summer we'll let you go if you still want to go, I think you would keep Giakoumakis. As I say, I think he's just in a position now where he's maybe not getting the chances he feels he deserves. Certainly not what I feel he deserves as well. But Kyogo's banging the goals, and it's one of them. He's top goal scorer. It's
we went at it at length on Friday,
goal scorer,
and that was at the end of the day. As much as like some people and I think if you put a poll out overall Celtic fans, I think the majority would want GG to start, but Kyogo's averaging fucking a goal a game.
It's just, as I say, I don't think Giakoumakis was. I think he'll know in his head that he's away. It's maybe a big last pay pack. I believe he's just had a baby and stuff, so he's a wee bit selfish maybe in his decision, just going, I might make a wee bit of money, I've got to look after my family, because I don't think he would have been on massive contracts. Even at Celtic, I don't believe he'll be on a mass. I mean, it's obviously got to be on decent money to your average Joe, but for a professional football, probably not on massive money. So right. I think Callum McGregor's comment after the game was a wee bit telling as well. But then you also hear Giakoumakis' Instagram post where he's like, on to the final, and you're like, I mean, I know you were saying the day in the group chat, well, you don't think he'll go. I hope it doesn't. And especially for the money, I think it's costing you a lot more than $3.5 million to guarantee you what Giakoumakis is giving you.
$3.5 million is an absolute joke if that is the case. John,
I know.
What did you, first of all, think of his performance? Big GG. Again, the celebrations, did that look like a man that's away? As his Instagram post make you think he's away? And also, can you touch on as well quickly? I'm glad Franny brought it up because David Turnbull was instrumental in the goal. And I think I like Turnbull because it's exactly what you were talking about earlier. Whereas when he gets the ball, his first thought is to get a strike at goal. And he's done that for the goal there. So just a wee bit on Turnbull as well and his impact on the goal and the game.
I just touch on Turnbull first then, and I like Turnbull, and I still think he's got plenty to offer us. And I said this before as well. He's a good player. He's capable, and I think he's a threat for set pieces as well. He's good for like any sort of dead ball situation. He's a threat. He can pass the ball. He turns just as good as anybody I've ever seen with a ball at his feet, and he's able to sort of move the ball quickly and break up play. And like he says, he's not scared to take shots. So I think that it showed that, going back to it, like the taking the shots for range and taking the chances rather than just keep passing the ball about can create its own opportunities. And as we've seen, that was the case. And going to the Giakoumakis situation is it's an odd one because I definitely rate him, and I mean, you'd be happy with starting either one, Kyogo or Giakoumakis, because Kyogo, like you say, he's not even Kyogo. To his credit, is still the top goal scorer, but he's not even playing the best week in, week out.
Agreed
and
with that.
You could argue if Giakoumakis was starting, he could be up there with just as many goals, if no more. And I mean, you couldn't argue against it because he's more than capable. And like I say, I really like Giakoumakis, and it's an odd one for me because, like you say, I don't think that celebration was a sign of somebody who's leaving the club. Usually, people who are leaving, especially if it's on bad terms and they score a goal like that, kind of like, all right, whatever.
Aye, more subdued. Aye.
Shut was off and everything, eh?
Aye, but he was
one last time.
Nah.
I hope it doesn't go like. As I say, I don't think it's. I think if you give him assurances, he would be happy to stay.
I think so as well. But listen, we don't know the circumstances. Like, why is he no starting? Why is Ange no favouring Kyogo in some games? Like, why no start? Like, it was a cup game. Why no start Giakoumakis instead of Kyogo in this instance? It's just an odd one. Like his Instagram post as well, like he says, onto the final. That's not the kind of, why even bother making comments like that if you were on your way out? And the thing is that gets me the most, or what worries me the most, is the fact that I don't believe, as I've said numerous times, the newspapers and the rumours and mill and everything else, but the fact it came from Romano, and we know Romano is very rarely wrong. Like, he maybe get it wrong a couple of times, and I'm hoping this is one of them, but he 9 times out of 10, he's hitting the nail on the head. And the fact that he's come out and said this is a concern for me, because you're like, well, maybe there is waiting. Where is he getting this information from? Because he's generally on the ball. And the figure that's being quoted is ridiculous. And what makes me think that if we're accepting a bid that low for a player of that calibre, is there something else going on behind the scenes where we're just kind of, we're cutting our losses? We're not cutting our losses because, I mean, you're still a marginal profit, but but you're no hoarding out, you're no, like, do you know what I mean? Maybe Giakoumakis has heard these talks and he's maybe said to Ange, he says, look, I appreciate it, but I want to be the, like you said, Franny, I want to be the guy. I want to be starting. And Ange can't guarantee him that. And they've had that discussion. Well, if a bid comes in, can we look at it? And Ange it's came in, they've had a talk and been like, look, if he wants to go, we'll let him talk to these clubs and see let him make a decision. But it would annoy me if he left for that, especially at that money, because he's worth much more than that. Much more than that. And he's still more than capable of doing a job for us. And he's going to be hard. People say that we can replace him easy. It's like, can you though?
You know what you're getting.
I don't think you can.
This is my 2 cents in it, right? I obviously, me and Stephen had a bit of a ding dong on the group chat today about it, because I just think if you take the media out of it, you take all media, all social media, all paper talk, all rumours, all whatever else in it, there's nothing coming for the club or the player to suggest that he's on his way, right? And I understand there's no smoke without fire and all the rest of it, and Romano said it, so it's fucking, it's God's word, gospel truth and all the rest of it. Saying that though, there's been a fee agreed. There was nothing about terms agreed or anything, or he's on his way yet. And for me, a player of that quality shouldn't be going to play in Japan. He's far better. He could be playing for big teams, in my opinion. And especially in this squad of players now, I know we said Kyogo's a favourite, but we've seen it with the squad's that good and the depth's that good that we've seen it time after time. You come in and you get your chance. You do get your spot. Abada comes in, he scores a couple of goals. He's in for 3-4 games. And then he doesn't score a game. And he's out and somebody else is in, but then they get their chance. Maeda was another one. He wasn't getting his chance. Then he's came in, he's took his chance and he's been excellent since. And I just think that until I hear something for the club or the player or whatever, and I read again, it's how you take. I read his Instagram thing, and Stephen posted it today, said he's away because he said, what was it, live every moment like it's your last or something like that. He's away. And I read on to the final. He's no away. So it's just how you interpret it. The other thing is, I can understand the JJ one, in the rumours because we brought Alistair Johnson in. There's nobody else been brought in yet. And until the day, I would be willing to bet my house Gigi's going nowhere because there's no way they're going to sell him until we've got a replacement. And that's what makes me think at this moment in time, that might change. We might sign somebody in 2 or 3 days and then I'm thinking, oh, you know what, maybe he's on his way. But at this moment in time, I just can't see him going anywhere.
I just want to touch on something you said there as well, which was a good point. Sorry. And you mentioned that about why would a player of that caliber want to go and play in Japan? And again, I'm remiss to say I don't want to say that these leagues aren't competitive and whatever else, but European football is the sort of pinnacle, and like playing in Europe and playing in the European Cup is seen as like the highest point for a footballer. And if you want to test yourself against the best, going to play in Japan and going to play in the MLS that's no a footballing decision. Same with Juranovic when he was like he's been linked with the whole Monza carry on. It's like you're not going to Monza because you're for a footballing decision. Like, it would be weird. And like you say, the fact that you mentioned a fee being agreed, that's worrying because it's way too low. But you're right in saying that until he's accepted a contract in terms of being agreed, he's still in a Celtic jersey, and until he actually leaves, then I'm going to have faith that Ange is going to keep him in rotation. I fully expect that. And when they surprise me if he starts next game, assuming he's still here.
And I don't think he's down tools at all. I totally agree with Franny. I think if anything, he's actually trying too hard. And to me, that looks like somebody that's not the number one guy at the moment, and he's wanting to be the number one, and he's trying to in that 10, 12, 15-minute spell, he's trying everything to show that he should be number one, and if anything, he's trying too hard. I just don't understand the whole situation. It's just it just doesn't make sense to me in my head, and I can understand why people, because all the news is he's on his way. But
I'm hoping the next press conference this is raised, like somebody asks Ange about it and about the fee specifically, like because
he's just got to back the fee off, isn't he? It's not his business.
He can try that, but the fact that the fee's even been bandied about, people are going to ask questions, and I'm hoping that the questions pressed until we get an answer, because you need an explanation as to why the value is that low, and if there is anything going on behind the scenes, you just come out and say it. Like Danny, I don't get all the smoke and mirrors and all the rest of it and trying to play everything half like everything's fine, because
that's the other thing for me. The fact that, like I said, he's no down tools, and even if he did, he's still on he's only a year into his 5-year contract. So you've signed that contract. You need to be loyal to that contract. Mm-hmm. If you want to go, that's fine. But you're not going for any less money than we decide you're going for. And there's no way 3.5 million's enough. And that's it.
I agree.
So
really.
And that's why it doesn't, because like even if it like I can understand if he totally down tools, even trying to get a cut, you know what, we're not going to get nothing for him, let's just sell him for that. But he's not doing that. He's still coming on and showing it. That's why I just don't think I at this moment in time, I could be wrong before the end of the window, he could be gone. But at this moment in time, I don't think he's going anywhere. For reasons unknown.
Like I said, I would normally agree with you, but like I said, and I'm not saying Fabrizio Romano's that like everything he says
the
is
oracle,
lost, but 99% of the time he's right, and that's what worries me. Is why
think Romano's computer screen's just like the Matrix, and he's like the oracle, and he just sees these things.
I think he just plugs his cell in.
Listen, we've only got a couple of weeks to go, and then we'll know for sure. But I would be willing to bet my whole family's life that if we've not got a striker in, there's no way in hell it's going anywhere. So
no, I agree with that. Absolutely agree with that.
League Cup finalists, Glasgow Derby to look forward to. Maybe hit to get the slow cooker up running again for the cup final. Looking forward to it, boys. Do you think we're going to do it? I think we're going to go all the way. Aye, obviously. Aye. Okay, fair enough. Right.
I've seen nothing for them at all this year that worries me.
No, but
and I think that last game they were lucky that we weren't firing, because I thought they played as probably as good as they're going to play. I don't see them getting any higher than that, but we know we can go up another 2-3 gears.
Aye.
So and we've showed it, and I mean, you saw them again. They struggled like fuck against Aberdeen, and Aberdeen have been absolute mince lately. And it's not just Aberdeen; they're struggling more often than not. And they were lucky, I think. Listen, you can call it green tinted specs all you want, but I think we're going to absolutely scud them.
I mean, listen,
it's a
mate,
cup final, but cup final one-off game just didn't know, man.
We need to turn up though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously we've had a game fairly recently and we dropped points, but it's not like for me. It looked like they were at one of their higher end levels or the highest level.
But they were at home as well.
And we were very, very below par, and they still couldn't beat us. So
yeah, exactly,
that would give me massive confidence. And I just think between the two squads,
But we've had their card mark at Hampden. Like, you go to a neutral venue. But you go to a neutral venue. They've not got the same home crowd behind them. They've not got a limited number of like fans in the stands. It'll be 50-50. Listen, VAR couldn't help them last year. And like I says, if we turn up, there's no contest, man.
That's the problem. And if you look at the both squads, I mean, we've got. I mean, on Saturday we're bringing on Turnbull's, GG's, and Haksabanovich's and all that. They're all coming back as well. So I mean, the squads are night and day. Like you say, if we turn up, then we should. But I'll leave that analytics to the week before that game and the pod before that game. So back to league duty on Wednesday night, St Mirren. Quickly, Franny, what do you think? Do you think there'll be many changes for Saturday?
I think there'll be a few. I was going to say wholesale. I don't think there'll be wholesale changes, but I think there'll be a few just like the weather and condition of the park and that players might be feeling a wee bit like it's we'll obviously have a game at the weekend against what will be a few runny games in close proximity. So I think there will be some changes, but I think with being at Parkhead, I'm expecting a fairly comfortable evening just on the back of getting in that final and stuff, all the crowd behind them, things like that. So I think it'll be a comfortable evening on Wednesday.
John, what do you think? Do you think he'll bring the changes in? Do you think GG will start?
Listen, I literally just say it wouldn't surprise me if GG starts this game, and if he does, I hope he scores a hat-trick and he just shows what he's capable.
Gets a wee injury that fails a medical until February 1st.
That would be nice.
But I think that being at home and will be on a high after that game as well, and I suspect there'll be a few wee changes compared to the last game. Like I say, I don't know the situation with Johnson, if it was a wee niggle or anything else, or if maybe it was just because it was a cup thing and he was rotating them. I don't know the details, but if Johnson's ready to go, I think he will start, and I'd like to see Giakoumakis start, and I expect that after because he was only on the park 15-20 minutes, Giakoumakis, and what did he do? Scored a goal, created chances.
What did they score the goal?
Be interesting. Listen, with Ange at the wheel, we can never. Ange at the wheel, anything's possible. Rocco Vata could probably start up front, but John, what do you think? Go and just give us a quick 11 then and a score prediction.
Hart, Benaby, Starfelt, CCV, Johnson, Calmack, Moy, Hatate, and Maida, Giakoumakis, Jota.
Score?
4-0.
Fanny?
I'm probably going to go the exact same team. I think that'll be my team. Just Johnson, just if he's fit. If he's fit, it'll be enough. No, Juranovic, but then I'm going 3-0. But exact same team as John.
Hopefully we get a good game. Hopefully the weather's all right. I've got a ticket for the game. I didn't get to go as much as I liked anywhere, but it's fucking this cold snap's no great. Like
as long as it's dry, well, you
we
wouldn't have won. Certainly would have been worse to be it. Horrendous weather.
Top chat as usual. Enjoyed that tonight. Enjoy it, boys.
That was good. Good.
I love it, man.
Apart from the fact that a striker that's been top goal scorer in 2 leagues. Probably say that 2 leagues that are in the top 10 leagues in Europe or world football. He's gone for 3.5 million. Pish, I'm not having it. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for Thanks for all the support, guys. Thanks for all the comments. Been brilliant. Loads of debate tonight. Lots of discussion. Lots of disagreements. That's what we like to see, as we did on Friday.
Love it.
And I was going to say we're on a wee bit, but an hour 20 is like about a quarter of what the normal podcasts are nowadays in this.
Aye.
But thanks very much, guys. The trip will be back on Friday to discuss St Mirren and the following game and all the rest of it. So stay well, keep safe. Hail, hail.